What's up, folks? I'm out here. I've been working on my header. Having some issues out of it. I'm actually having issues out of it and my combine. But yeah, we're out here in the field. I finished beans up in this field, and I replaced all the guards on the header. And I hadn't been videoing, but I got to video this. Check it out, if y'all can see this. That's Keith Anderson Flying Service, flying on the cover crop. We're gonna get showered here in just a little bit. Check it out. I got the knives apart. You can see the new blades laying there. Got the new guards on. Old guards were just completely wore out. If you got into any grass, like whatsoever, it would just pretty much choke up the blades. Figured I'd go ahead and put the new one in there. It's kind of a pain doing this job by yourself. And Derek, that's been helping me, he just messaged me. He was like, "What are you doing, man?" I said, "Well, I'm working on the header." And he was like, "By yourself?" So it's not for a lack of help. It's out of my just stubbornness to not want to really bug anybody. Check it out. Here he comes again. I don't know that y'all can see it. You probably won't be able to see. He's dropping oats and radish. That is awesome. So this is very much a slow go job. But you see, I got, like I said, the new bar. It comes in actually 4 sections that I'll put together. The old one, it had been tore up. It's really slow because I'm having to work it out, but I got this here to help kind of guide it. Wish I could just pull it out, but it still just will not pull out of there. But got the side off. So I'm having to work it out of there. I got my little cheater bar here. I've been getting it right here on the blade. Hopefully the wind ain't terrible on the camera. And pull that like that. And then I got another place right here I grab. I can kind of wedge the bar in there. It's definitely easier to do with 2 hands. But I can pull that, get this right there. And then I've been able to get this bar up under these little guards here and pull her just like this. It's very slow go, but it is working. We're working it out. It should hopefully do a little better with that propped up. I see Keith, he just had to go and refill. That would be the worst part, but here it is without the knives in there, in case you wondered. Yeah, we just put these new guards in, the old guards. I mean, look how, y'all see that, how tight that is right there? Like the gap. See how that gap is not narrow. Let me show you some of these old ones. They were so wore out, it's not even funny. Look at this. Look at that, you could drive a Cadillac through there. It's probably gonna be a real butthole putting this knives back in by myself. I may have to just get it close and get somebody to come help me tomorrow. It's about really probably a 2 or 3 man gig. But again, I just hated to bug anybody on a Saturday to come out here. So appreciate y'all tuning in. We got a lot of new subscribers. I'm always thankful for that. I appreciate y'all tuning in to the show. Please hit that like button, hit subscribe, and comment below if you'd like any sort of whatever video you'd like to see. I like to do a lot of informational videos, kind of tell you a little bit the realities of farming, touch on different things like that. I did have some pretty hilarious comments on the trailer, the broken trailer video. And it was a lot of people that were really awesome. They were like, "Thank God everybody's okay," and all this stuff. And you get the typical internet guys that are like, "You're an idiot. If you had done this and done that, this wouldn't have happened." And it's like, guys, look, we are on a farm, okay? Let me explain something here. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I guess I'm making excuses. But we're on a farm. We're trying to get crops out of the field. We have an extremely limited amount of time. The only reason I'm able to even be working on my header, I've been running these wore out blades and guards, and that's because it rained, so it's wet. So I'm able to get out here and try to get this changed out. So that's why I'm able to even be out here doing this right now instead of actually cutting beans today. But people don't, these guys, they just don't understand. They're like, "We should have done this inspection, done this and that." We were just underneath that trailer like a week or 2 ago, working on the brakes. So we were under that thing looking around, like we looked under there. Even after the accident happened, we looked and we could not see where it had rusted out. We didn't see cracks. Like, there was no obvious signs to us as to why this happened. So it's, for all those guys, you know, you can go pound sand. And that's finally what I told several of them. And to be honest with you, this, at the end of the day, this is my YouTube channel. If you're gonna come on my channel and just be a jerk, then I'm probably gonna boot you off the channel, because I don't have time for that. I don't feel like listening to that. For everybody that has had kind words to say and thankful that everybody was safe and all that, I really appreciate you. For the other guys that are just talking crap, you can go pound sand. All right, I'm gonna keep trying to get these blades out of here. And yeah, for anybody wondering, we're putting down oats and radish. And I'd love to see what it looks like inside there. I don't know if he's got like a screen that's painting where he goes. It's got to. I mean, for me it would have to, because I'd get confused. But I wanted to tell you guys, if you ever do this, wear some freaking safety glasses. These are loopholes, they're ballistic rated, and I've had little shards of metal hitting me quite a few times. Yeah, he's getting closer and closer. I think he might get us on this next, maybe not. He might have to make one or two passes. Let's listen. I can't quite hear it. I was gonna see if I could hear it kind of raining down. Probably just try to get these blades out for today, and then tomorrow the fun will be putting them back in. Monday morning, John Deere's coming out to put a new ECU on this combine. Like I said, today is Saturday, so I could probably start cutting. I could probably cut right now if the thing was ready and moved, but I got to move down the road a good little ways. And my combine's been going dead. Just randomly, you'll be driving it and it'll start kind of sputtering just a little bit and it'll go dead. And I have to get off and turn the whole main kill switch off and flip it off, flip it right back on, it'll fire right up. It's not fuel filters related, it is something electrical. Pretty sure that I must have a bad ECU, which is the brains of the combine. So a very cheap repair. I've got to move about, probably take me about 45 minutes, maybe even close to an hour to get this combine where we got to go, moving down the road. I really don't want it to break down on the road on me. So I am gonna wait. John Deere's coming out. Like I said, we're still making great time. I've got about 700 acres to cut. The field we're moving to is about 170 acres. So once we knock it out, we'll be sitting pretty. It is October 7th. If we keep the pace up, we could possibly finish this before November, which would be just, that would be crazy. It'd be the earliest I've ever finished harvest and working more ground. So that would really be awesome. But I don't count my chickens before they hatch. So we're just gonna keep on going. There it is. No cutter bar in there. I figured once I got it kind of over this little hump, you can see that the spot where it's kind of humped up, that it would come on out, and it did. Got the knife section out. I'm going to put this in the header up in here. There's actually a spot to store a spare blade right up inside there. If I can get it up in there, I'm gonna keep it in there for a spare, because I mean, it's together, it works. If I break this bar or something catastrophic happens, I could use it in a bind. That is just, man, I mean, it's just so cool. Airplanes, I don't know if they do this to everybody else, but but like, I know some kids and people freak out about farm equipment, and I still love my combine and all that stuff, but there's just something cool about airplane. Typically, I like to have it down before I harvest the crop because then it kind of covers it, but it just didn't work out that way this time. Most of this stuff, still we get a good rain, it'll make it come up, which I'm still working to kind of get my cover crop system how I want it. But it was kind of a seed shortage this year. They had a hard time getting in the seed. So it ended up being, I really wanted this to be down about probably 3 weeks ago, but it just didn't work out on getting the seed in time. There is the oat. This right here, this is an oat seed. It's spread out right there. That might be, the radish is really small. It's hard to see, which it's not a crazy thick amount that I'm putting down. Again, I'm like on my 3rd year into this cover crop journey, so I'm still really learning as I'm going along. But ideally, I'd like to move all the way into it. I've got several farms with a multi-species. It's got like 5 different species down. This out here is just the 2 species, oats and radish. And right now I'm still just really utilizing the NRCS program. And they give you a list of what you can put out. And they pay a portion of it. So it helps alleviate the cost, because it ain't free to put down cover crop. You're having to pay to put this stuff down. So obviously, any financial help you get is good. But I know somebody's like, yeah, of course these farmers are, you know, you always got those people. But so that helps you out. And so I'm kind of, right now I'm still going with their program, but I'm experimenting. I changed up a few things on the multi-species this year. I did some hairy vetch. I have not done that before, but I know it's a great nitrogen builder. So put some hairy vetch in there. And I think the other species, I got hairy vetch, crimson clover, radish, turnip, and maybe rye or oats. Probably rye in there as well. I can't remember offhand what all I got in the other thing. I could look on my phone and tell you guys in just a second. If you want to know, you can comment below and I'll look it up and I'll tell you. I can tell you the rates. Again, I just don't remember offhand, but I could tell you the rates of this, what we're putting out today too. I'm not ashamed to admit that often I do look on YouTube before I do certain things to see if somebody's got a good video on how to do that. And did not see a good one on replacing the cutter bar. So this may be a terrible plan, but I'm actually gonna try to do it in sections. I'm horribly impatient. So I've gone ahead and I put the first section in. I've been easing it in. Well, I hit a trouble spot, and it's that hump that I showed you guys earlier. And see, it's hitting the top part of that. I gotta see. Yeah, I may can pry down, and it might pull it in there. It's trying to be a little bit stubborn here. You can see it's just out of line right there. But if I can get it going with one, maybe the rest will follow. Only problem with putting this in sections I can see is some of the knives are going to be a little tricky to line up. But I still kind of think it might be easier to put it in pieces rather than one long strip. I don't know. I may be wrong here. Because I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put together some of these sections. So I've got it past the little hump. Everything seems to be feeding pretty good. But I think that I'm probably going to be better off going ahead and putting some of these together when I can still move it around pretty good, so that I can kind of pull this back, get a blade in. Looks like a blade will go there, a blade will go here and there, because the guards can get in your way. I don't feel like, I just put these things on, I don't feel like taking them back off. But I'm going to be able to push it up in there better with them put together. Because they get tricky putting in there. And you definitely need to wear gloves. I kind of forgot that I'm dealing with freaking sharp knives that'll cut you. And luckily I had on knives, or these can't even pulling a Joe Biden on you guys, can't even talk. But I was pushing right here. I was pushing really hard, hitting my hand against that. And that's knives. That will cut you. And there are quite a few veins that run right there in your hand. That would have been a good thing to cut and be bleeding like a stuck hog. So I'm about to put these pieces together. And it came with these splice kits. I'm gonna give you guys a little tip. So you've seen kind of how I was putting this back in here. Put it in a section, put it together. Here's the bar. The bar runs across the top. It's got one that runs across the bottom. It comes with these little screws here and the nut. It gives you quite a few extra. So then you might be inclined to be like, well, nice, I'm gonna have a lot of leftovers. Don't expect to have a lot of leftovers because these are the crappiest bolts and nuts on the planet. I had like 4 extras and I am down to, I have 1 extra right now. I've stripped out a bunch of the nuts. I just broke off one of the bolts. They're just really crappy. They can't take any torque hardly whatsoever. I had to loosen these back up, hoping I can tighten them down without breaking them off. And they're tough because they got like a countersink or countersunk part on them that you gotta get to pull up in there. And you would think like, tighten it up easily and it'll pull up in there. No, it'll a lot of times strip the nut out. Or you'll think like, well, I just need to snug it just to fuzz more. Well, then you will break it. It's incredibly annoying. And I remembered that, so I've been trying to be easy on them. Got all of them tightened. This last freaking one. It's hard, it's giving me a hard time lining up. It's just fighting me the whole way. So what I do, it hasn't been working just perfect, but you want to hammer from the bottom. You want to be hammering the bolt up into the plate while you tighten it. So I've got a small ball peen hammer here and I'm taking the little small part and I'm hitting it while I'm tightening it. That'll help pull it up in there. It seems to do a little better, but it's still ungodly frustrating. So and it's like knocking the ratchet off. Like it's really annoying. But you do got to put these splice kits on there. So I'll have this one on, and I think I'm just gonna I may on the next one put it on, if I can, outside before I put it in here, like up in here. So I'll have to leave that right there. I'll have to set up some boxes or something right there where it'll kind of hold it up. I may go ahead and try to put it on out there. It just might be easier that way. I've been fighting this stupid thing. I'm gonna get this one splice together and I'm gonna grab my tools, leave the splice kits and stuff here, and I'm going home for the day. It's almost 5 o'clock, it's a Saturday. There you go. That's the splice kit. It'll be spliced in 3 sections. Got it down to right here. It's the end. So here's the other piece, and there's the last piece. It's not terrible putting it back in. It'll get harder and harder to slide the more I put in there, but like I said, I'll just use my pry bar and keep pulling it, just be slow go. But we'll be able to get that in there. Should have that in there tomorrow. With new knives and new guards, this thing ought to be one cutting son of a gun. I ought to be able to just bulldoze through anything. I'm having trouble out of this header. My belts are going too slow, and I've changed the hydraulic filter. I've filled it up with oil. I can't figure out what's going on. I don't know if the motor's getting weak, the hydraulic motor is getting weak on it, or like I don't know what's going on. But I hadn't figured that out yet. But I've been having issues out of these knives and guards for a while, so at least that'll be solved. And I've been having to run slower. I've been having to run about 4 miles an hour, and this combine could actually handle with this header probably about 5.5 to 6 miles an hour. So I'm definitely slowed down a lot from what I could be running. And might not sound that much difference to you guys, like a mile and an hour or a mile and an hour. What am I saying? 1.5 miles an hour. Might not sound that big. In the field, that makes a big difference. Like that's probably talking the difference of 15 acres an hour versus 20 acres an hour. So I'm gonna keep running, but as I'm running, I'm gonna be trying to kind of figure out what the heck is the deal there. But that's all I'm doing today. I'm ready to roll out. But you guys got to see some cool stuff. Like I said, you get to see kind of how we put this header together. I didn't show taking off the guards because it's literally just, you take out these 2 bolts. It'd be these 2 bolts. Take those 2 bolts out and it just drops down. You just put a new guard on, put it right back in there. They got a little rail that runs behind there that keeps the blades in the position they need to be in. But I am pretty pumped to see how it does with new knives and new guards. So, you know, at least it'll be cutting good. But yeah, got to see that, and y'all got to see the cool flyovers of Keith. Like I said, that's Anderson Flying Service. And again, we need to get Keith. He needs to strap a GoPro on that on the airplane. I mean, how cool would that be to see some crop dusting, spreading cover crop and stuff? Freaking GoPro on an airplane would be pretty sick. So we need to encourage him to do that. But yeah, guys, that's Keith Anderson, Anderson Flying Service. He's done a lot for me. I highly recommend him if you are in the area, West Tennessee, and you need some cover crop done or some fungicide sprayed, things like that. I think he defoliates cotton or whatever he does on cotton. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please hit that like button, hit subscribe, share it with your friends. Comment below what you'd like for me to cover. If there's any topics you want me to cover, movies, literally anything, I'm open to pretty much whatever. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good one.